Well, I had this canned beef, a pint of it. It was 5 years old. Linda says, we're saving that. We'll give it to the dogs in an emergency. Nope. So we sat down at the dining room table and we're eating. Linda said, oh, this is really good. Oh, this is really good. And just about when we're done eating, I said, well, you know, that's that 5-year-old beef. Oh, I'm poisoned. You're poisoned. I said, Linda, I'm eating it too. I wouldn't eat anything this bad. My name is Jack Briscoe II. I grew up on military bases all over the world. So I was kind of indoctrinated as a youngster and impressed. You know, my father was in the Army for 35 years. And so that's why I decided on the military as a young man. My dad was stationed in Germany. I would have been 4 when we went over the first time, and we went over by ship. Well, we were in a real bad storm, and I crawled out on the deck, and I crawled up on this air vent. Looks like a tuba horn on the ship. And I'm sitting up there, and the ship's rocking and rolling, and everybody's screaming, and I'm just having a good time. And we get to France, get offloaded from there, and we're on a train. And we're on the last car, so I went out on the observation platform on the back end, and the train starts. I tumbled off the train. So I gave my mother a lot of gray hairs. But I have no fear. I just don't. My grandfather he was really, really strict and mean. Because all my grandmother did was keep house and cook food for him. Well, he was yelling at her one day when I was about 5 years old, and I looked up at him and I said, you know, Grandpa, someday I'm going to get big like you and I'm going to beat your butt. My grandmother got this shocked look on her face and grabbed me up, took me upstairs and said, don't you ever say that to your grandpa. He'll take you on. I meant it though. I loved my grandmother a lot. I had very, very curly hair, blonde. Well, my older brother didn't like it at the time, so he painted it green. And we didn't have latex paint. That was lead paint back in. Well, my mother had to shave it off because she couldn't wash it out. And this is what I ended up with. Well, there's a big pig farm right next door to us. And we woke up with the sound of crashing dishes and stuff. So my dad, being a soldier, grabs a gun and he's going down the steps, and here's this huge 2,000-pound hog in our kitchen tearing the house up. That was fun. Trying to get him out the door. My dad kept saying, I'm going to shoot it, I'm going to shoot it. My mom said, not in the house. My dad was very intelligent, but he could be very mean at times. At the time when I was growing up with him, I didn't understand why he would get drunk. But later in my life, when I went to war, then I understood why he did his drinking. That's the way he coped. My mother was an angel. Her short time on earth. She died when she was 47, cancer. She would do anything for anybody. She was just a loving soul. The military in the time did not pay hardly anything. You know, there was times my mother would pawn her wedding rings to buy food. She'd get it back later on, but she would do that several times just to keep food on the table. But she was a wonderful lady. I'll always remember for that. When I left for the military, she started crying. She said, "I'm never going to see you again." Well, I didn't realize that was true. Being a stubborn child, I joined the Navy. I volunteered for the SEALs. And they have what they call the Hell Week. And they give you 4 hours of sleep a day. And it could only be 15 minutes at a time. When they say go to sleep, you drop to the ground and sleep. And what they were doing is trying to weed out anybody that wouldn't fully commit to the job. They tie your hands behind your back and you jump into a pool that's 12 foot deep. And then you go up and down for 8 hours with just your feet. And if you don't, there's a guy up there with a pole. He pushes you down. After that, they sent us for survival training up to Alaska in the middle of winter. And I'm going, where in the devil are they going to send us? I went from Alaska to Vietnam. That was my first of 5 deployments to Vietnam. I lost a lot of good friends there. Yeah. I don't talk about that too much. One of the things that they instilled in you was to never, in the Navy SEALs, was never give up. Never say, "I quit." Fight to the last breath. Well, I met my wife through my son, actually. My son and her son were good friends for years. And push came to shove and we started talking, and then she got stuck with me. I blurted out one night, I said, do you want to date? And she foolishly said yes. She's my brain, she's my heart. I couldn't do it without her. I have a very short fuse, and I'll be the first to admit that. Things anger me almost instantly anymore. I just remember my dad and mom arguing when I was younger, and I said, I'll never do that. But sometimes it comes out. As long as you're happy and you have a food on the table for your family and a roof over their head, that's good. Just treat them as if every day is their last day. You never know when you might not see them again. There's some people that I wish I would have said a lot of things to that aren't around anymore. The kids running in and out of the house all the time, and they leave the door stand wide open. In the winter, in the summer, it doesn't matter. They're being kids. But I would yell all the time, "Shut the door!" Well, it got to be a joke with the kids, you know. So every time they come over here, they start yelling at me, "Shut the door, Grandpa!" I love all my children. They have done very well in their lives so far. I hope they continue. I hope they don't have major problems. The only thing a parent can do is lead and teach a child, and then hope when they become young adults that they make the right decisions. And don't be afraid to put on different hats. You know, I was in the Navy, I was in the SEALs, I was a firefighter out in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. I was on an emergency squad, I was a police officer, I was a deputy sheriff, I was a foreman in a cabinet company, I was a machine operator in a box company, you know, and all these other companies closed down. Is why I didn't stay in them. So I enjoyed life, you know. If I was thrown lemons, I'd try to make lemonade out of it. You know, when you're working at a company and then they come in and say, "That's it, you're done, we're closing," it just knocks the wind out of your sail. but you got to pick yourself up and go on. I had myself to look out for, my wife, my kids. You know, I couldn't just say I give up, I quit. It's just not in me. And I hope somehow it gets instilled in the grandkids. Don't quit. You know, you're somebody special. You may have been put on this earth to save somebody's life like I did once. You know, be proud of yourself. If you can be happy with yourself, you got it made in this world. You know, if people don't like me, too bad. You know, I don't go out of my way to make anybody mad. I can be the best friend any of them ever had, because I stick by friends. And that's what they should do. Stick by your friends. Stand up for somebody that's not as strong as you or not as smart as you. I regret not being a millionaire. Do I have it? No, I don't think I do. I wished I would have stayed in the military, but had I stayed in the military, I don't think I would be alive right now with the profession I chose. I'm going to fight it all the way. That was the way my training was. Don't give up. And I won't. When death comes knocking, I'll fight him right to the last second. I'm not afraid of dying.
Okay.
Never was. My wife and kids and grandkids and great-grandson keep me alive, keep me going. So, especially my wife, she's hard to keep up with. My name is Jack Earl Briscoe II, and I'm leaving a legacy.